Hey, what's up? Welcome to Degen Ed. That's degenerative education, meaning none of this is financial advice, just me having fun looking at charts like the chart behind me, which is of STEM Incorporated, or ticker symbol STEM. And so I've got it zoomed in right now. All of this analysis is going to be based on the daily candles, and eventually I'm going to step back so we can see where all of these lines come from. But so first, what I want to point out is on November 27th, the low of the day, which was also the close, was $2.40, which I have highlighted here with this line in yellow. And then for today, as I'm recording this, November 28th, the low was $2.33. So a lower low, which is not great. However, as you can see, it was a green day. The first couple hours, it looked like it was dropping a lot, but then closed high. And actually, let's see, the close was $2.60. The open yesterday was, $2.60. So that seems like it's kind of an important level. But yeah, so while yesterday, the 27th, the drop of the day was 7.69%, pretty big. That drop continued initially today, but then closed green, which looks like a bullish hammer. I got this bottoming tail, and also very important, the close was above $2.40. So moving forward, ideally, we don't want to see any closes below $2.40, and we don't want to see any tails of these candles coming down below $2.33. However, I suspect that will happen. But just as long as closes are above $2.40, I think that would be a good sign. But I do have red here, I do have this trend line that may serve as support, which would mean that price would have to come down to, between $2 and $2.20. So I do feel like that is a possibility in the future. Before I take a step back to go over this channel and these other lines that I have drawn here, I want to point out that while the price action has formed lower lows, we see that up here. Corresponding RSI, however, has formed higher lows, and so that would be bullish divergence. So that suggests there could be some bullish moves coming into the future. However, that those bullish moves might have been represented in the trading today on the 28th with this green candle and an increase in price by 8.33% with a close at $2.60. Okay, and then so taking a step back just to look at this channel. So it looks like price has resided within this channel since, August 17th, 2023. For the most part, there were a couple breaks below, a couple breaks above, but price has, just followed in this down trending channel. And the price is right around the middle of that channel now. So it's possible if it does continue higher, it would reside in the top part of this channel before breaking out. Perhaps if it were to rise to the top of the channel to around, $2.90 or so, maybe it would be rejected there before coming down to the yellow and orange lines and then potentially breaking out. However, as I had mentioned, it is possible that this red line that I have drawn here will be tested. So that is something to be aware of. Then further pulling back, I have these two blue dashed lines, one at $4, one at $5, because those are going to be psychological levels. And that's also because that's really where we start to see some consolidation on the way down over here with $4 here, $5 up here. And so with all of that price action above those levels, that's going to serve as resistance. So whenever price action does break out of this channel, I do think that it will stall out a little bit at $4 and at $5. But, that's a pretty big move from being at a current price of $2.60. Okay, and then I'm just going to step back a little bit further, and we can see this purple line that I have drawn here. And so that, as far as I can tell, that is the closest gap to the upside that still needs to be filled. I looked at all of these candles. I couldn't see a clear gap that has not been filled. And so that purple line is at $9.73, quite a ways from the current price. And I do suspect that there will be other levels of resistance above $4 and $5, such as this bottom here that was around $7.50. That also coincides with resistance here with these wicks sticking out. So I do suspect it will stall out at that level as well. But that's, looking further into the future because, the first step is really to find support and then break out of this channel. And I do think this red line is going to be very important for that. And so that is based on going all the way back. I don't even know if I could I could barely fit it on the screen. So I believe it was November 30th of 2020. That was I believe the closing price on a red day, November 30th. And let's see, closing price. No, let's see. I'm not sure. It's around November 30th, 2020. But so that's where the touch point is. Actually, I can zoom in on that just to give you guys an exact date. Yeah, so November 30th, and that is, let's see, the open price, $10.54, I believe. And then that connects with the closing price on May 2nd, 2023, which was $3.80. And so that's how I get that red line there, which looks like it did serve as support in 2022 between March and the end of June, as well as May 2023. And that is just a little bit below the current price. But since that has served as support in the past, I do think that it may be tested again, and it may be price may dip below it. There's actually two closes here below that line, so it's possible that invalidates the line that I've drawn. But I do find it compelling that it does seem to have served as long-term support. And then the green line that I have drawn here is based on, let's see, the high of January 13th, 2021. There were a couple breaks above that, but they did not last too long. And then it's also based on the high of September 15th, 2022. And so that's how you get that green line. It looks like it was recently tested, but there have been no closes above that recently. And that basically forms this giant, I have to be able to zoom out to show it, this giant wedge pattern. And so what I see happening in the near future is, unfortunately, I do see breaks below $2.40 as well as $2.33, the yellow and orange lines here. But I do suspect when it meets this red line, it will respect it. Ideally, no closes below it. Possible there will be a couple closes below because that's happened in the past. But between $2 and $2.20, I do expect STEM to find a bottom there and then move out of this channel and break out of this wedge. And if I adjust the axis here, the convergence of the red and green lines would fall in the middle of January 2024. That would have a low of, let's see, $1.80 basically. So that is a potential low for this. I don't think it would go much lower than that. If it does, that would be breaking down out of this wedge, continuing into this channel, and I don't think that would be very good. But I do think that there is some hope in the near term with the yellow and orange lines here, and then paying respect to the red line before making its way up to test the resistance here and potentially to fill this gap, perhaps in 2024. But those are my thoughts on that. If you found them helpful, make sure you like the video and let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thank you so much for watching.